Here's one of my favorite data structures. And I lived through this one too. It's called a priority queue. Now, you probably have experienced a priority queue before, but it is a queue, but, well, who goes into the queue goes by some type of priority. Now, again, the priority has to be dictated by you and the setup of your complete class profile. That's using the less than symbol to figure out which one's going to be of a lesser priority than another. That all has to be set up by you. But the interesting part is, and I lived through this, it was on a runway in BWI in Baltimore, and there's all these planes that are out there, and they ran down to one runway because of snow. This is how things ended up, and they did it by queue by, well, the number of passengers in each of the planes were at the front. So notice this one does it by planes. There's a design thing we have to worry about. So again, something we would have to code first, and then the STLs will do all of the sorting for us. So that's the neat part about this. And again, it's going to be basically like the queue that you and I talked about at first. If we have to pop something off from the front, everybody also move forward. It's kind of more interesting with planes, to say the least, but still, same exact idea as we had before. Now, we do still include queue, go figure. So just a heads up on that. And this is just a container adapter. This is very limited on features, just like the structural integrity that we talked about when it came to stacks and queues. Priority queues have very little functionality because they want to treat it and make sure it doesn't get abused with that. So just a heads up on that. And again, in this, there's no really easy way to display the queue either. You would have to go ahead and pop everything off, and at that time of popping things off, display it. Pop, display it, and see if it happened to end up in the right order, or at least the order that you were expecting it to be. So here is some of the functionality that comes with a priority queue. It's going to look very similar to what we had before when it came to a regular queue. A constructor, you've already seen that. Empty, pop, push, all these items that you've already seen before, so there's really nothing crazy about it. I'm trying to show you some code so that you, well, know how to code it and all that good stuff, but also show you the code that's not all that hard. That's the beautiful part, because again, remember, the STLs are doing most of the work for you. Size function, top function, all of that good stuff that's in there. So this leads us to another exercise. Now, this one's not supposed to be hard because, again, I'm really giving you a lot of the information, a lot of the code ahead of time. So all you need to do is adjust it just slightly, but you're going to create a new object named player. And player is going to have a lot of the same functionality that I just showed you. Matter of fact, I'm giving you a lot of the code here in this one link right there, so that's the good news when it comes to that. But the rest of them I want you to go ahead and read, and I'm going to go over a solution with you here in, well, a moment. I want you to stop. I want you to go ahead and program it yourself. Don't make any crazy changes. Use the template that I give you in that link. Change it slightly for what you need. There's a lot of Control F or Control H, whatever it is, from student to player. Make some other changes and you're good to go. But this shouldn't be a lot of heartache. That's the good news. This is the only new stuff that you're really putting in there. Other than that, a lot of things are already taken care of. Get it to run, get it to work. If not, please get a hold of me. We can take a look at it. But I'll go over an answer here in a few moments. Hi gang, so let's go over the solution for this exercise. Now it's funny, the code itself is going to be real simple, and I'll explain why here in a little bit, but I wanted to show you the overall set of what we're doing here to, well, make sure that if you haven't gotten to this point and you've coded yet and you haven't gotten it running yet, this should be the end-all, know-all, meaning you can basically copy right from the video here, get the darn thing running, and then move on from there, because it's really important that you use this as a template because, again, there's going to be a lot of things we're going to be able to switch in and out with some minimal changes for whatever project you're using. As long as you have a template, which this really is, then you should be in great shape. So I'm going to go over the compilation, even a mistake that I made. So this is going to be a little longer, but it is a solution. So pay really good attention to it. Pause whenever you want, all that good stuff. So first, let me show you what I've got here as soon as I get to the right screen. And that is going to be my files. Now there's actually 2 files on there that are being crossed off right now I want you to ignore. I'm going to use that for something later on in this set of videos. So I've got driver, makefile, player, both CPP, and .h. I know not all of you are doing Unix-based systems, but let me go over the makefile anyway because I know for some of you it's still a mystery. And that's the makefile that I'm using right now. Now, by the way, the pound symbol is used as a comment, so just ignore that for now. And again, that's going to be used for later on. But notice everything else on here. The only thing that I would change personally is the flags. There should be more there, efficient and all that stuff, other stuff, but for some reason I didn't change it, but it's okay for now. The parts that are being highlighted right now are also the other important parts of run, val, clean, and of course the all portion of this. I use val for memory management. I'm sure you've heard of it before. I actually made a screw up earlier that I'm going to demonstrate that here in a minute so you can see what's going on. But all of those are set up for it. And again, notice the overall compilation of what, driver.o, player.o, all that stuff is what's being compiled and put into objects, and then we use that together to do our compilation. So, that's done. Now, I'm going to now go to player.h. Now, I asked you to make player, which was name and score. Guess what? I'm lazy just like you. All I did was basically change student to player. I didn't make any changes from what the code that I'm giving you. I didn't make any changes other than literally renaming student to player because student already had first name, last name. Student already had score. So everything was taken care of. So that's literally the only change. So go through the code here and just make sure that you understand what's going on behind the scenes. That's about it. Some people are going to use using namespace std. I'm kind of a mix, to be honest with you. But if you did use namespace std, then you can get rid of all the lines that are showing up there. But either way you want to do it, it's fine. Totally up to you. Now, I'm going to move on from there. I'm going to show you player.cpp. And that's exactly what I gave you too. Again, all I did was change it from student to player. Everything else was done. Seriously. Now, that's not always going to happen, by the way. But I at least wanted to show you how it works out. I'm trying to show you all the code here, all that good stuff. And there is the compare, which actually I think I use later on. So we don't need it in there, but it's okay. So, matter of fact, I have it in there twice, to be honest. All right. So anyway, so there's that. Let's get to the good part. And that is the driver. Now, driver is going to have some extra code in there that's already commented out. So just ignore that for now. But what I have here so far is just like I asked you in the instructions, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, I had you create 3 different players. There was me. Now, notice the order here. It was me, then Jacqueline McLaughlin, and then you. Those are the 3 I put in the vector in order. Now, by the way, and I'm not sure why I did this, but I actually put them in a heap memory version of a vector right off the bat. I didn't even put a normal stack version of it in there. I just went ahead and did a vector off the bat because I'm used to that. So if you did a stacked version of it, all of these arrows that you see highlighted right now would be dots instead. That's about it. So let's go over the code that you see in front of you. So first, I create the vector. Vector of players, by the way. Second, I go ahead and push all 3 examples in there. Now again, in order is Professor Lupoli, then Jack McLaughlin, then you. Then I go ahead and display the frontmost player, and that should be me because, well, I was the first one in there. Let's put it that way. But then you see after that is our, other than a print, that prints all the people out. Then we should go ahead and sort it. And then after that support, using the compare function, and remember the compare function did it by score. As soon as we have that taken care of, then we go ahead and print the sorted vector. And let's see what it does. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make clean just to get everything get rid of. Do make to compile it. And then I'm going to do make run. So again, notice the debugging statements in there should help us. The frontmost player was me. Made sense. I went in first. Printing the unaltered vector. Had me, then Jack, then you. Printing the sorted vector. And again, the sorted vector was by score. And notice it's Jack first because I actually had score was less than. And the less than, well, the less one would go first. And that'd be Jack, then you, and then me. So that happened to work out perfectly. Now I'm going to do one more thing here. And this is using the make file. So I'm going to say make val. And what val does is it runs your program and it tells you if you had any memory leaks. And right now, I got a memory leak. This is I did this before. So I must have forgot something. And this will count against you on your project if you submit it this way. I originally oopsed on putting a delete actually in the driver to delete the vector that I had just created. So let's fix that. I'm going to go back to the driver. And it's down towards the bottom somewhere. There it is right there. So it could be as simple as delete, by the way. Get out of there. I'm going to do make again. I'm going to make val. Val, remember, does the run too. And voila. All heap blocks were freed. Yay, they're freed. So just a heads up, this is how easy it is to really test things out. But again, the other part I want to make sure you understand, this is running. So everything that I got in there for you is good to go and ready to go. So please make sure it's a heads up on that. Matter of fact, let me check one more thing. Cat makefile. Okay, yeah, so we're good to go on that. So just double checking a couple things. Your makefile could also have what version of the compiler you're using. This is using default, which is 17 on mine. So there's a lot more flags that you can use in there. They talked about that before. But notice, got it to work. Should work in all different versions. And that's the important part. So take this portion and use it for the rest of the notes we have later on today.